Now, part of the Elissa Slotkin thing is I'm trying to keep an eye on new Democrats, okay? And this is a person that we have to keep an eye on, guys, because she's a former CIA. She feels a little bit Joe Manchin-ish, okay? Maybe a little less Manchin than Joe Manchin, but definitely not ready to like get us health care and you know, not ready to upset the status quo of, you know, giving all our wealth to the people up at the top.
I wanted to come here, frankly, because we haven't agreed on every single issue in the past. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity. It is a coincidence of scheduling that I find myself giving this talk a few days after the United States took military action in Iran, 2 days after the elections in New York, and the day before the Senate likely votes on President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
See, now, here's the deal. I don't mind Democrats being more aggressive. I will buy into this, that Democrats being more aggressive in how they carry out their shit. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Democrats being like AOC. She'll get right up in your face, and she won't back down from a fight. She won't back down from a challenge. There's nothing wrong with that. We do need to stop being the gracious, intellectual, I'm not going to take this fight. This fight is below me. We need to stop that. We do need to be fighters. We do need to be aggressive. But the thing about her is she is a very much a U.S. intelligence establishment, okay? She was a CIA person, so she is entrenched in, you know, she was a CIA person during George Bush. So she was around during the lying of WMDs, right? She was around then. She is an imperialist. She is fine with war as if it's against non-Christians or in the pursuit of American imperialism. And I don't like that shit. But mostly I don't like that she takes big corporate money. She is a very conservative, centrist Democrat that has some social, right? She's, you know, pro-abortion and she's pro-LGBTQ, but I don't think she's defending trans rights at all. She's like pro-LGBTQ in the fact that she's not going to write a bill that arrests them, but if you know, there's 500 bills in state legislatures, she's not going to speak up about it. And she is very much a power centrist, like, you know, sort of establishment power kind of person. And she's the type of person that considers people like AOC to be radical. And I'm sorry, if you consider AOC to be radical, you don't belong in the Democratic Party.
Put plainly, as a CIA officer and Pentagon official by training, I believe that the single greatest security threat to the United States is not coming from abroad. It's the shrinking middle class here at home. I believe deep in my bones that if we lose our middle class and by association, the American dream, we will lose our democracy and eventually our country.
If we lose our middle class, look at her, bro. Dude, I just don't like this woman. If we lose our middle class, we're going to lose our country. I mean, no, we'll still have a fucking America. We're not going to lose our country if we lose our middle class. We're going to have a bunch of fucking rich people, and the rest of us are going to be in work camps, bro. Dude, she is so smarmy.
This is the existential threat. As a national security professional, what do you do when there's an existential threat to your country?
See, how about if can we for 1 minute govern in America from a place where there's not an existential threat? Like, I know that we know that fucking Donald Trump is a threat, the man, right? But do we always have to be governing like this? There's an existential threat. Now, her existential threat is the disappearance of the middle class and her CIA information on the homeland. And it's like, goddamn, bro, can we just like do good shit for people? And not make it seem like the whole earth is going to explode if we don't give, you know, Elissa Slotkin all the power. Like, fuck, bro.
You get to work on a war plan. You face up to what's not working, you change course, and you ruthlessly pursue the economic security that's critical to our survival. So in short, leaders have a responsibility to respond, to chart a path forward, and to not just complain from the sidelines. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to give the rebuttal to the State of the Union. I said that most Americans share three core priorities: a strong economy, strong national security, and a resilient democracy. Those are three of our most basic tenets as Americans. Later this year, I'll give two other speeches, one on security and one on democracy. But today, I want to lay out what is an economic war plan. Because any successful vision of America must start with an economy that works for everyone.
An economic war plan? Like, why are we using that language? Dude, why does it have to be a war plan? Right? Like, people get hurt in war plans. Can we not have an economic empowerment plan? Can we use some language that is not about, like, being at war and the existential death of the nation? It's like, goddamn, bro. How about if we just have an economic empowerment plan? All right, an economic Elissa Slotkin gets a boot in the ass and goes back to Michigan plan and fucking stands in the unemployment line talking to her neighbors about Ronald Reagan, because frankly, we've heard enough. Right? I mean, I know there's a lot of letters in there, but maybe we can get a good acronym, right?
Okay, so back during my war planning days at the Pentagon, the first thing we did was lay out the specific problem we are trying to solve. The middle class is shrinking. That's not a political statement, that's a fact. In the years after World War II...
Yeah, the specific problem you're trying to solve is the wealthy aren't fucking paying their fair share, right? It's not the middle class are shrinking, it's that all the rich people are taking all the goddamn money. And you and all you fucking clowns in Washington, D.C. are letting them do this.
In the years after World War II, the middle class exploded. But over the last...
Can you say 85% marginal tax rate? Do you want to know why the middle class exploded?
50 years, the share of Americans in the middle class has fallen by nearly 20%. And the total wealth and power held by the middle class has been cut in half. Add to this inflation, and it is clear why people are frustrated. In 2025, money and opportunity is skewed towards those who already have it, not those who are striving for it. Middle-class families, blue-collar folks, young people, we all can feel that something is off. We're all questioning whether the American dream will be an American reality for us and for our kids.
You know what's funny, Elissa Slotkin? I'm glad you mentioned that, because you know what I feel is off? The fact that you took $10 million from the crypto lobby, and then you got into Congress as a Democrat and you voted to advance Trump's crypto bill with no guardrails for him looting like meme coins and shit. So yeah, that does feel a little off. That you take 10 million from those MFers, then you vote with Trump, and then you come here and tell me like, oh man, we got this middle class problem. Gee, I wonder why. Elissa, I wonder why. Maybe you want to go back to your CIA manual and dig in there, right? Dig in there and sort of like, you know, figure it out.
This core issue unites all of us, moderates, progressives, and everything in between. And that unity is critical if we ever hope to succeed in a plan. Things aren't off because Americans have stopped working hard. It's because government hasn't lived up to its side of the great American deal. That deal, which we all automatically signed up to, is this. Government has the responsibility to set the conditions for success, and the American people have the responsibility to work hard to achieve it. That deal is failing because politicians from both parties strayed from ruthlessly expanding the middle class. They've been lured by special interests, their own re-elections, and niche issues that have more to do with themselves. And it's been compounded by the bitter fighting that goes on every day between Democrats and Republicans. The result being, even as the economy has changed a lot since World War II, our government has not kept up. The things you need to succeed, your job, your school, your health care, are outdated and broken. And if the election in November told us anything, it's that it's not just Trump voters who are frustrated with the government. It's Americans across the board. As a senator from Michigan who just won on the same ballot as President Trump, I've seen this frustration firsthand. Michigan literally invented the middle class, the very basic idea that you could work at an auto plant and afford the car you were building.
Dude, yeah, Michigan also invented the fucking Henry Ford, the assembly line, the dumbing down of education, right? Grooming Americans to get out of school so they can be widgets in a money-making machine for some rich fat cat, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude.
But today, Michigan is also a place where people feel like it's harder and harder to get in and stay in the middle class. Let's take my town of Holly, Michigan. It's full of people who aren't doing as well as their parents and their grandparents. They can't provide for their kids what was provided to them. Dad worked at the Ford engine plant and could afford a fishing cabin up north, but his son can't afford one.
Dude, Dad worked at the Ford engine plant and he had a cabin up north. Wow. Boy, Dad was living. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think working 40 years at a fucking engine factory and then, you know, going and drinking yourself numb, you know, every other weekend at a cabin up in the woods and like shooting some innocent deer because you're, you know, trying to survive another year of waiting for the gold watch. That is not a life. Manufacturing jobs were not a life. They were, you know, a minimum wage paying slow death. Like, that's just it, man. I envision a life where there's freedom, where our basic needs are met. So we don't even have to join the capitalist parade, where you can be an artist, you can be a musician and still eat, still have health care, right? Still not worry about like having to go, you know, exchange your labor for some low wage just so you don't end up dead.
So in order to attack that threat, we need to get government back to the basics of what it was designed to do. And to me, those fundamentals are the following: jobs that pay enough to save every month, schools that prepare kids for those jobs, a home you can call your own, safety and security from fear, energy to power our lives and an environment to pass on to our kids, and healthcare you can actually afford. This economic war plan aims not
at healthcare you can afford. Did you see that? You see what she said there? Healthcare you can afford. So in her world, you still got to pay for healthcare. You still got to pay for healthcare. Yeah, afford, right? You got to afford it, which means you have to participate in our shitty little capitalist system. But did you hear what she's saying? A good enough wage to own a home and save money every month and, right, go on vacation and afford healthcare. So she's basically saying we're all going to pay, we're all need to make like 250 grand a year, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's at least 150 grand a year to be able to pay for healthcare, own a home, and save money every month. At least. You're talking at least 150 grand a year. And that's like 60% of American jobs don't have that. Like 70%, 80%, you know what I mean? Or don't make that. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.